Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
This is going to be how you can go about demonstrating that you have game without it being obvious and without being obnoxious. So to start off with, in terms of invisible game, ultimately your game starts with presentation. I'm talking your clothes, how you smell, how your car looks, whether it's washed or clean or whether it's dirty or not, how your house, your apartment looks. Women are going to be glancing at you, whether it's on an online dating app or whether it's in person, and they're making an assessment head to toe. I've heard women say, I want to know how his shoes look, what kind of shoes he has, are his pants ironed, what kind of jacket he has on, what kind of style does he have that's going to make him stand out from other people, or what kind of style does he have at all that makes him look like a confident person? What kind of watch does he have on? What kind of necklace or earrings or jewelry does he have on? Like, your game starts at first sight. And so you need to be mindful of how you are looking in day to day. If you're going out there to bars and clubs or to friends' parties and you're just dressed up in a wrinkled t-shirt and some like unironed pants, could you pull a woman? Yes. Is the probability high? No. So you need to figure out for yourself what kind of style you need that's going to best suit your person to be able to make an impression on women when they first see you, when they walk by you and smell you, when they see your car. Is it clean? Is it dirty? Whatever. Like, that's very, very important. And I know, again, you might think, but I'm a schlubby guy, or I'm kind of slightly overweight a little bit, or I'm this race and this race doesn't get whatever. Look, all I'm saying is this: look the best that you possibly can for your body frame. And even if you're an out of shape guy, or you're a guy that's a little kind of lanky, or you have one arm that's bigger than the other for some reason, like, trust me, there are women out there right now that would look at you and be like, wow, he's got game because he knows what to wear. If only you would invest the time. If you need help with that, I recommend hiring a stylist or hiring a woman friend of yours to take you shopping, because women that are your friends will do that for you if it means you'll get somebody and not hit on them so much anymore. So that's the first thing, is like, your appearance matters. Beyond that, though, another way to demonstrate game is, as I said with the phone thing earlier, tell her you're taking her on a date, don't ask. This goes for dating apps, and this goes for in person, right? Or rather, when you call her up. So when you meet a girl in person, ideally you're not going to ask her out like right then and there. But when you call women up, when you ask them out, quit saying, hey, so do you want to go on a date with me? That, it doesn't come from a leadership position. And number two, it makes you look and sound beta. A better technique would be to say, hey, so I was thinking that we could go to a restaurant this week, this new place that opened up. I'm free on Wednesday or Tuesday. Let me know what works for you. Always ask women out as a statement. Do not question anymore. Use it as a statement. Say, hey, I want to take you out. I'm free these days. Let me know when you're available. That is more powerful to say than saying, do you want to go out with me on Wednesday or Thursday? Because again, subconsciously, that now gives her the choice. As I said earlier, we are taught since we're kids, to just do what we're told. So if you tell a girl, I am taking you out, I'm free these days, you will pick a day that works. Then most women come back like, most women that I've done that with, I'd say like 98% of them, it results in me getting a date. Like, I just stop asking, I just start telling. So, but that lets a woman feel, oh, this guy, if he's telling me he's taking me out, he must already know where to go and what to do. And he's picking me, like, oh my God, like, it's a very masculine frame and state to come from that women find attractive. And again, it's another tip to them that you probably have some game, because the fact that you're telling them so confidently that this is going to happen, it almost in a way like makes them want to do it even more. It's a weird flex, but it works, you know? Another way to demonstrate that you have game without being too obvious is, and I say this all the time, is confirm date plans when you're asking for the date. But do not text to reconfirm, because this establishes confidence and also potential desirability by women. If you're not trying to confirm a date, then she's going to get in her head about like, oh my God, do we still have the date, blah, 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 blah. And I get you're like, I don't want her to be anxious. But the truth of the matter is that things like anxiousness, not being completely sure if you're actually choosing her, like, yeah, you asked her out, but do you actually want to do the date? Are you doing it just to appease her or not? Like, those questions of unsureness make her like get attracted to you faster. But more importantly, it also shows on your end, the fact that she's all anxious and nervous about, is this date going to actually happen? And you're not freaked out about it at all. it exudes the kind of confidence that women find desirable, all right? And that, again, lets her know on some level, you must have game, because all the dudes that have asked out up to this point have tried to reconfirm because they're not sure of themselves. And the fact that you're not asking, it must mean that you're so sure of yourself that if she doesn't show up for the date, you don't care. You probably got other options. You might not have other options, but she doesn't know that. And so these are the kind of things you want to do early on that make women feel these kind of things, you know? Another way to show game, simple shit, open the door for women. Like, I know it sounds like, but aren't you being subservient when you open the door? No. What we're trying to establish early on is that you are going to be able to be a protector for her, but you got to demonstrate that in ways without saying it. And so you doing something as simple as walking her to her door, but thus showing that you're trying to make sure that she's protected as she gets to the door, and then opening the door for her to let her know, like, hey, like, I got you tonight. Like, those moves alone, so many women that I've dated have been floored by the fact that I opened the door. They're like, I've never had a guy open the door for me before. And she's not dating those guys anymore, and she's dating me. So what that means is that is a very powerful thing, an effective thing that you can do that's going to make you stand out from other guys who just go walk over there and open your own dang door. It's small, but it makes a big impact. Another thing to demonstrate game is during the date, bring up topics where you have a perspective on the topic that might be slightly controversial. What we're trying to do here is two things. One, we're trying to establish with her that you have an I don't give a you-know-what attitude when it comes to the things that you feel passionate about. And so even if that means that your opinion is different from other people's, well, so be it, because you're your own man and you're going to say what you want. Perfect example, like years ago, when Trump was running for election, right? I got invited to go to the Republican National Convention to film it. And I was like, you know what? I don't agree with Trump at all. I'm not a Republican, but I'm going to go there because I want to figure out what that's like. And so that's what I did. So fast forward to when I'm dating, there were some women where I'd just be like, yeah, so, oh yeah, I did this interesting thing one year. I actually went to like the Republican National Convention and got to film there for a few days. And I'll leave it like that. And I won't tell them like what side of the political aisle I'm on. I just put that out there to see what their response is. They're going to be like, you know, oh, you went to that? I could never, blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, wow, you did? Like, what was that like? Was it interesting, blah, blah, blah? Like, I want to see what her reaction is. But let's say she says, oh, how could you go to that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, at that point, I could say, well, look, I like to know both sides of both parties, and I thought that it'd be worth going to. And I actually had a good time when I was there. Like, I got to do X, Y, and Z, and this, and that, blah, blah, blah. Now, hearing a Black person in particular say, I went to a Republican National Convention and had a good time, that could be a very controversial thing. But I don't care about that. I care about how is she going to react to me saying that? Because she might feel different. She might think like, oh, why would you go to those people and this, and that? Well, I got news for you. Like the country only has like two parties. I happen to get invited to this Republican thing. I didn't say I was for them. I said I got invited to this thing to film it. But the point is, I need to be able to put out there that, well, even if you think you would have had a bad time, I had a great time. It is what it is. And I need to see her reaction to that. But more importantly, she needs to see that I don't care. Like, whether she agrees with me having a good time there being a good thing or not, I'm going to state my opinion and she's going to respect it. And I find most women are going to respect it because even if they disagree, they still want a guy that has his own thoughts and feelings. And you need to find ways to demonstrate that early on, you know? Because if you don't, then she's going to see you as the person she can walk all over, which in purposes of her life, if she's looking for a guy that's going to be her protector, well, if you can't even hold your own opinion, then there's no way that you can protect her. It's a weird thing to parallel, but that's how they view it, you know? Anyway, let's see. Another question, way to demonstrate game is to treat her like your bratty little sister. Now, I will say I'm totally stealing this from David D'Angelo, whose real name is Evan Pagan. He does business stuff. Back in the day, he went by David D'Angelo. And this is one of the tips that he gave was like, treat women like your bratty little sister. And what that means is that don't be so overwhelmed by women. Women are supposed to be these fun, really good time people that you hang out with that ideally might result in a hookup. And so what happens with men is we get so serious. We get on a date and suddenly we want to think about relationship. We want to think about, we got to have these serious conversations and we can't do touchy subjects and whatever. Women are on a date to have a good time. And so they can't have a good time with you if you're ultra serious. So you do the opposite. you treat her like your bratty little sister, where it's like, she might say something, you might be like, oh yeah, like for example, like, let's say she says something like, I'm a fan of like this team. You could be like, oh, really? Yeah, okay. You're a fan of that team. Oh, I don't know if I should finish this date now. Ha, ha, ha. Like, you can do things like that where it's not overtly mean, but you're treating her like, hey, like, you're just a woman. I meet women all the time. This is no big deal. And women want that. Women don't want to be put on pedestals. They want to be treated like everybody else, but at the same time, in a way that's still leading towards potentially having some kind of fling or romantic relationship or whatever, And so you got to get out of your head of treating women so seriously and treating them more like, hey, I'm just here to have a fun time. I'm going to tell some jokes. You're going to be a little bratty to me. I'm going to be a little bratty to you. But ultimately, we're having fun and we're building up, some good feelings towards each other, Another way to demonstrate game without being obvious is very important to you guys. Avoid asking her during the date if she's okay, or apologizing for any statements that you make. And I say this because, unfortunately, I see and hear too many guys midway through a date being like, so are you okay? So are you having a good time? So, if you want to, stop this date, we totally can if you're not having a good time. All of that shows a lack of confidence, and confidence is game. If you are not displaying that you are confident that she's having a good time, even if you're looking at her thinking like, oh, she's probably having the worst time in the world, you might just be projecting that because you're nervous. But if you go along with the date as if you know she's having a good time, you're going to come off to her a lot better than if you're trying to question every 5 minutes. Are you okay? Is this meal fine? Is this restaurant okay? Oh my God, like, is that drink fine? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, blah, blah. And that goes to also, don't apologize. Like, if, let's say, I've had it where, like, for example, I took a girl to a restaurant one time and we get there and the restaurant was full. Like, we couldn't get a seat to save our lives. It was going to be an hour-long wait. So what did I do? I said, hey, no problem. We'll go to this next restaurant. We go to the next restaurant, and that restaurant was also full, right? I'm like, crap, man. All right. You know what? I got one more idea. We'll try something else out. So we go to the third restaurant, which ended up being Fridays, and they had seats, and we sat and ate. At no time did I say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were going to be full, blah, 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 because that makes you look weak. Women do not want men that look weak and are apologizing. And when you apologize as a man, unfortunately, when you apologize for things that don't need apologizing, it just makes women feel, A, you're trying to suck up to them, and also that you are just really a beta guy, right? And again, you shouldn't have to apologize for something there's no reason to apologize for. If you happen to say something that she doesn't agree with, if you take her to a place that she ends up not liking, at no point in time do you need to feel as though you have to now say, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no, you just keep it pushing and you like, well, I mean, hey, if you didn't like the place, we'll go someplace else next time. That's it. You ain't got to apologize. Just be like, hey, everything you do on a date is a lesson learned. Either it's something that you learn that's positive or something that is, not to do next time. But don't apologize, all right? It is the death knell for most women's attraction to you. I'm telling you. By the way, thanks for the likes. Be sure to keep the likes up, like this video, subscribe to this channel, all that good stuff. Okay. Another way to demonstrate game is to listen more and talk less. Because here's the thing. Guys that are extra nervous feel the need to talk nonstop. And in a woman's mind, a guy's doing that in an attempt to try to convince her that he's worthy of a relationship. We don't need you to be forcefully convincing women to like you. We need you to be making them feel things that feel like, I want to like this guy. And so what I learned to do is to listen more and talk less. Meaning, I go on dates, I ask questions, I let them answer the question fully. I don't try to interrupt them. I let them get out what they want to get out. And then listening allows me to pick up on things about them that could be useful for later. Because the big flex is, here's a big game flex, right? Is you go on date one, you ask her a question like, hey, so like, tell me your favorite band. You're like, oh my God. She's like, oh my God, I really love like Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whatever, right? Like, I've always loved their stuff, this and that. Keep it in your hat. Fast forward to like 2 months later and you're like, hey, we're going out on a date night. I got a surprise for you. And then boom, you take it to like a freaking Beyonce concert, or maybe not something that big, or like a Beyonce meet and greet, or you get like a big package of Taylor Swift stuff. Oh my God, how'd you know? Because you listened. And part of game is knowing that if you listen well enough, it'll result in you being able to do things for her later that no other guy is doing, which will make her feel heard. It'll make her feel understood, and it'll make her feel like you get her and that there's chemistry there. You can't get that if you're nonstop talking all the time and talking over her and trying to interrupt her with your stories, and it's you and you and you. And then she doesn't ever get to feel like she's getting stuff out about herself. Yeah, she's not. But when you listen, that is part of the game, because women will start to feel like, oh my God, this guy understands me because he's listening to me. And that is part of the game. Another way to demonstrate game is to, this is very important, okay? You need to learn how to respond to her, what I call you're like all the other guys comments with wit and humor. And I've told this story before in here where like, I've had women that'll be like, oh, well, I bet you're like all the other guys. You probably want to just hook up right away and this and that. And my response is always, sorry, babe, I was a virgin until I was 23. I can outwait you. Do you want to wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? Like, I don't care. This is what it is. Like, responding to a woman's comments like that, it's going to allow her to see that ultimately you're not going to be bothered by anything she throws at you. Because women, especially women that have gone through like trauma, they've been hurt in the past or been tricked by guys, they're going to now come to you, and admittedly, and rightfully so, some of them are going to have a lot of this baggage. So what's going to happen is they're going to come to you and be like, yo, I bet you just want me for sex. Now, the problem that most guys have is they're going to deny it. Oh, I wouldn't want blah, 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 blah. That's the wrong move. I say some stuff like, look, realistically, I'm a dude, I'm horny, but here's the thing, is that I'm here to get to know you and to experience you and connect with you in whatever capacity that means. If we happen to hook up, fantastic. If we don't happen to hook up, fantastic. I'm still getting to know you. I have said that line on several first dates, and it has resulted in me getting several hookups on second and third dates. But I authentically mean that crap, because here's the thing. I'm not going to let her, you're like the other guy's statements, like bother me or throw me off my game. It really is like my agenda for this date is to get to know you and to have a good time. And so if she's saying, oh, you're like other guys, you probably just, think about that women are lazy, or that, women need to be submissive to their guys, blah, 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 blah. And I just be like, well, I mean, like realistically, like blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. Like it is no big thing. It's no big deal. This is not like, again, wit, humor, not showing that it bothers you. And when women understand that they're not going to be able to throw you off, that's some powerful game, because women don't want to be with guys that can be easily thrown off by their emotional ebb and flows, Let's see. Another way to demonstrate game is masculine body posture. When you're on a date, you sit up. Let's see. Oh yeah, lean back, keep eye contact with them the whole time. You make your moves purposeful. You're not like, and then I was doing this. No, it's very purposeful. So tell me about your day. So how did that affect you? Oh, that must have been so great. Like you want to make sure your movements are paced out, because guys that have game understand that every move they make is a powerful move, and that it is communicating something to a woman, whether they understand it or not. So for example, something as simple as like, if you're leaning forward like this, yes, you're interested in their story, but it looks like you're begging for their attention. Oh my God, please tell me more about you. Versus like, oh, tell me about that. Interesting. This is a more powerful sitting pose than doing this. So you have to learn body posture things in order to demonstrate to women on a subconscious level, oh, this guy's, he knows it. Like he knows all the moves. He knows how to say things, do things, which also goes to number 12. You have to learn how to read her body and verbal signals, but also give some of your own, like talk slower, be more paced out, etc. But in terms of learning to read her body and verbal signals, the more in tune you are with women's communication styles, the more powerful it is, because you will know based on how she's talking or how she's moving, what moves to make next. If I'm walking with a woman and she just happens to bump against me a little bit, I now instinctively know, oh, this is my sign that she either wants me to hold her hand or put my arm around her because she made that little bump. You'd be surprised at how many guys don't know that. And when a woman does that and you don't hold her hand or put your arm around her, she knows you have no game. When women say things like, oh man, we should go back to my place for a little coffee, and you're like, I don't like coffee, she knows you don't understand girl code for coffee equals come to my place to hook up. You don't have game and you're out. So women aren't going to help you with this stuff, guys. You have to know what these things mean. You have to study body and verbal signals from girls that indicate other things. Because again, like Doc Love always said, they do womanese. They have their own language that to them makes total sense. And it can make sense to you if you study up on it. Another way to show game is doing what I call the push and pull technique. This really speaks to having patience with women in the dating game, meaning that you have to know when to push in and then also know when to pull back a little bit and give her space. A big thing I push in this channel is you take a woman on a date, you show her the best possible time you can, and then you leave her alone for 4 days in terms of initiating any contact. That isn't a big example of push and pull. On the date, you're pushing, you're showing her a good time, you're being jovial, you're being funny, you're being witty, you might kiss on her, you might even hook up with her. But then you're pulling away. You give her that great time, and then you hold back for a little bit until it's time to ask her out again. This push and pull is what's going to drive women to get into a relationship with you faster, because it's going from like these highs and lows. Oh, I got to see him. Oh, I don't get to hear from him. Oh, I got to see him again. Oh my God, I don't get to see him unless I reach out to him to try to get him on another date sooner. Oh my God. And then that's going to cause her to want to pull you closer versus you trying to push your way into her life. Another way to demonstrate game is telling her stories where you either look like a hero or you look like a know-it-all. So one of the things you want to demonstrate is that you're a kind, nice, cool dude, but you don't want to be like, I'm really a nice guy, I swear, and I'll always be there for you. But because women speak and communicate best through passive language, you could do that same thing by telling a story about yourself that puts you in a light where you had to be the hero. Like, oh yeah, my guy friend was going through a thing one time, and I just sent him like $1,000, just like, you know what, he needed my help, and I really wanted to be there for him. Or, oh yeah, my two friends, they wanted to get married, but they couldn't afford a pastor, so I just became an ordained minister for that day and just did their wedding for him. Because I just really care about my friends like that. Like, those are stories where she's like, oh my God, like this guy's great, but you're not having to say, I'm such a great guy. You're doing it by way of demonstration through stories. And that is a powerful way to get women to see that you are a guy that can be kind and sweet, but it's for people that are in your circle that you genuinely care about and have connections and relationships with. So she knows she'll get that kind of treatment down the line if she stays with you, all right? And then also being a know-it-all, because women like guys that know how to do a thing, whether it's like they can build a desk, they can put a tire on a car, they can do things that that women don't know how to do. And to that point, when you nerd out on things, women for some reason find that attractive. Like I've been amazed at the number of women that find me attractive about, like, oh, I nerd out on, I know how to edit or shoot things, or I get really deep dive into certain subjects like video games or music. Like, the more nerdy you can get with it, women like hearing you being passionate about things. So when you're telling women about things and you're passionate about it, then they correlate with that, like, oh, he really gets passionate about things he's into, and that could include me if we get in a relationship. So that's another way to demonstrate game, is that showing that you are passionate about things and that you have the ability to do that. A few more things here. Another way to demonstrate game is I like to throw out compliments as asides versus being direct. So, like, rarely will I go on a date and be like, oh my God, you're so hot, you're so beautiful, but you could go to a date and say, take it to like a Mexican restaurant and like, oh man, these peppers are so hot, I should call them whatever your name is, like ha ha ha. Like, she'll know in that way that, oh, you're calling her hot, but you're not being that guy that's like feeling sleazy with it. And you're saying it in a way that's really clever and funny, which women love wit. If you're a witty guy and you know how to, say things without saying things, and know how to compliment things in a way that's like really inventive, that demonstrates to women that you have linguistic game and that you have thought pattern game, because only guys that are really smart and are thinking ahead of the curve could come up with a way to compliment her that's not like all the other guys have done. But if you're saying, oh, you look so beautiful, oh my God, you're so hot, you're not going to stand out. And unfortunately, women are probably going to like not be as interested, Another way to demonstrate game without being obvious, learn the art of building anticipation and then making them wait. Because this goes back to the whole push and pull thing, is that part of the way women are going to build attraction to you faster is when they're anticipating experiencing you, seeing you, feeling you, etc. And so many men try to rush in. I think they got to be in front of the woman's face all the time in order to attract her. But having game is understanding that her wanting to be near you is sometimes more effective than her actually getting to be with you in that moment. And so you can do things like, you tell a story to women like, oh yeah, I was going to this thing, blah, 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 and then this thing happened. Oh my God, what happened next? Oh, you know what? I got to save the rest for the next date. What? Oh my God. Or at the end of a date, she's like, you drive her back to her place, You walk her up to her door. You're like, hey, I had a good time on this date. Oh, I had a good time too. And she's thinking about inviting you in, right? So at the door, you lean in, you give her this really passionate kiss. And then she says, oh my God, do you want to come in for some coffee? And you say, oh, I wish I could, but I got to go pick up my little brother, or I got to go meet somebody, this and that, blah, blah. But hey, you know what? This is a really fun date, and I'll see you next time. So you done showed her a good date. You done kissed her passionately. She's already getting riled up, and then you leave. And now she has to wait. And when I tell you guys that is probably honestly the fastest way to hook up with the woman, is like not to, because it's guys thinking, if I don't hook up by the first date, no. Think about this like in 3 or 4 dates, right? If on date 1, you show her a great time, and then on date 2, you show her a great time, you kiss her, and on the 3rd date, you kiss her, you get up to her place, and maybe you like say, this is a nice place, gotta go, whatever like that. Then all you're doing is building anticipation each time, and she's starting to trust you more, she's starting to feel more things for you. But that anticipation and the fact that you're not going for it right away, she's gonna be like, oh, either A, he's got a lot of options, or he just really knows how to be patient. And that is the game, is that you want to move at a pace that's slightly slower than hers, to the point where she's practically like pulling out your clothes to take them off when you finally do get in the bedroom, you know? And then the last way to demonstrate that you have game, and this should be obvious, but I guess the guys it's not, is don't take women or dating so freaking serious. Guys that have game, like the word game is there. Games are meant to be fun. They're meant to be enjoyed by all. And if you know the set of rules that are being played and you know how to play them, then you guys can both win. So you should be having fun during the dating process. All these guys that want to have like super serious conversations, and I need to talk about how her texting is and how she's not doing, blah, blah. Like, dating is supposed to be fun. Women want fun. And so if you're able to have fun, if you're able to show that you're not butthurt by the few things that women will do at times as tests to see if you're on your A game or whatnot, if you're able to be a leader and she's a willing follower and participant, then you'll find that the more fun you're trying to give her during the dating process, the funner it's going to be for her and the less stress it's going to be. But the more serious you are, especially early on when she's thinking there's no reason for this to be this serious, then you're going to lose out. You're going to lose out on women that would actually date you because you're way too serious for the process. So guys, hopefully all this helps you understand how to better master invisible game. Oh, I didn't add this on here. I want to give you guys, I'll leave you with this. Here's an example of a technique I used to do during the dating phase that I found was really, really effective, right? So here's a little restaurant tip for you guys out there, right? You take a girl to a restaurant, you show her a good time. So many women go on dates thinking, okay, the bill's coming, and one or two things are going to happen. Either he's going to ask me to split the bill, which he asked me on the date, so I don't want to do that, or he's going to get the bill, he's going to look at it, and he's going to be freaking like nervous, like, oh my God, I can't cover this. Oh my God, like this bill costs it's like $50. I only have $40 in my account. What the heck? And so women are going to be looking at you and looking at the check when it comes and what your reaction is going to be, right? So here's a little game for you guys. This is a little tip you guys can use in your next date. When the bill comes, right, they're going to put it on the table. Don't even open the checkbook. Literally, just take your card out, put it on the checkbook, and pass it back to the server to take. Don't even look at it. Now, I have found this to be a quite powerful move, because what it indicates to women, one, is that they definitely know they're not helping you split, they're not splitting the check, so they don't have to pay for this meal. But what I found is that is indicative of a guy that is not worried about his finances, is not worried about money, and more importantly, he's so confident that he can cover this thing that he doesn't even have to look at it. That is game 101. I've used that extensively, and you can literally see the look in women's eyes like, oh my God, he's not looking at it? Like, what the freak? Like, I mean, I'm not paying, which is great, but also he's not even looking at it like, oh my God, this guy must like be able to, oh my God, this is so great. But it speaks to showing women a level of confidence that they're not going to be able to see from most other guys. And I'm telling you, that one move of just when the check comes, just putting your card down and just sitting off, you're going to make such a grand impression on most women. I can guarantee you most of their panties are going to get wet and probably drop on the floor right at that moment. All right. So that's just a little example of like a little bit of game you can do when you take women out to eat. All right. It's very impressive. Women like it and it works.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.